Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, this is another in my series I call Spreads, Spreads, and More Spreads. And boy, have I got a spread for you. If you have seen my other videos in the series Spreads, Spreads, and More Spreads, you may already know that I've already developed two spreads based on cards from the Tarot of the Holy Light by the beautiful and brilliant Payne-Towler. The first one that I developed, actually at her suggestion, was based on the Ace of Swords from her deck. And the second one was based on the Ace of Discs from the same deck. So I thought, why not try looking at the Ace of Cups? And I did. And I looked, and I looked, and I looked, and I looked harder. And nothing was really coming to me from the image specifically. And so I went to the guidebook. I thought, heck, let's see what the guidebook says about the card. And as I was reading through the guidebook, I struck upon the idea of, according to the guidebook, water flowing down the tree of life. And that image of water flowing down the tree of life and the Ace of Cups. Let me show you a picture of the Ace of Cups right now. So no, the Ace of Cups does not look like the Tree of Life, but you do see that fountain, right? And then if we juxtapose the image of the Tree of Life on that fountain and we think of water flowing down, it kind of gave me a good sense of what a spread based on the Ace and the Tree of Life might look and feel like. Yeah? So I'm going to show you a spread that I call my Tree of Life spread, but is really based on the Ace of Cups in the Tarot of the Holy Light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera down and I'm going to show you the spread, give you a little bit of an explanation of it, and then I will do a reading with that spread once. It's a complex reading and it takes a little bit of time, so we'll just go through one of those. Oh, I'll also show you a picture of the Tree of Life. First the Tree of Life, then the camera down. Here we go. Friends, this is again the Tree of Life. And this is what this spread is based on. So you can see that there are 11 circles. Only 10 of them are numbered. And we begin with number 1, Kether, which is the crown. Number 2, Hokmah, which is wisdom. Number 3, Binah, which is understanding. Now, wisdom flows to understanding. And then we move to 4, which is Chesed, loving kindness, compassion, mercy. Number 5 is Gebrah, which can be severity or strength. Number 6 is Tippereth, the heart, which is harmony or beauty. Number 7, Netzach, is victory. Number 8, now I've seen different translations for Hod. It could be splendor, glory, or surrender, which is the kind of splendorous surrender like in Surrender to the Divine, I believe. Number 9, Yesod, is foundation. And then we flow down into 10 with Malkut for manifestation. Now those are and you'll notice that I skipped over 1, right? This is Dot, which is knowledge. Why did I skip over that one? Well, because we're working with the fallen Tree of Life, the fallen tree. Now, after the fall in many Judeo-Christian traditions, we have the idea of the fall from grace, the fall of the universe. Yeah. So this tree, in its original form, before the fall, these 3 Sephiroth, which means the circles, the spheres, the energy centers, these 3 Sephiroth were 1 up. So it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one would be marked, well, not in that order, but the central pillar would have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and that is all. This is the shape of the original tree. And it looks very balanced, very even, right? But then the fall. All of these 3 fell from here down to here. So the heart that used to be up here is now down here. The foundation that used to be here is now down here. And number 10, Malkut, which used to be here, is now down here. That's what we have. That's the way to understand, or one way to understand the fallen tree. And we're going to be reading the fallen tree because according to the concept, that's where we are now. And we're hoping to realign, for us to move back to a reconciled tree, where all of these three would be moved back up into their original place. But now we're living in a physical universe that is, according to the tradition, is now a fallen universe. So we're going to read the fallen tree. And these sets of Sephiroth can be read in triangles. Yeah? Numbers 1, let me do this a little bit differently. Yeah, number 1, 2, and 3 form the supernal triangle. Supernal, pointing up, right? Supernal triangle. Then we have numbers 4, 5, and 6, which form the ethical triangle. The triangle of ethics. And then we have numbers 7, 8, and 9, which form the astral triangle. Now you may be wondering, why are these three, which seem so low in the tree, called astral? We think of astral as being non-physical, being out of the body, being ethereal, right? That's because we're not in the physical universe yet. Yeah? The astral triangle is the triangle of ideas and energy that we are most able to apprehend, the most able to understand. Ethical triangle, we can still get there, we can still understand it, but it takes a lot more work. The supernal triangle, according to this tradition, is the triangle that we are unable to comprehend. It's the divine, the completely non-physical triangle of power, of love, of life. And so while the energy does flow from the monad, from the one down to us and through all of these centers, we're unable to comprehend this. And that's why there's this abyss here in the center, where Da'at is placed now. And this is the Sephiroth of knowledge. Now, so crown, wisdom, understanding, knowledge. This is the data, the data. You can think of that as data. It's not data, but you can think of it as data, knowledge, right? The information that comes from the flow from wisdom to understanding to actual data. The one step closer to physical understanding, right? And then finally, at the very, very bottom, what do we have? We have Malkut. And Malkut, that is where we have the physical universe, where we have our bodies. This is us in the most physical sense. Now, there are other ways of understanding this tree, right? We can understand this tree in the sense of the monad creating the father or the knight in a Thoth system, and then the queen or mother. And the queen mother and the knight, they get together and they have a prince, yeah, which is here 6, the heart shot. Okay, we'll get there in just a second. The prince. Now this prince wants to get married, and this prince marries the princess, which is here sleeping in physical form, here sleeping in the physical universe. So the marriage of these two will perhaps help us to reintegrate into the supernal triangle again. Moving the prince back up into his normal spot and the princess back up here. Yeah, does that make sense? Now, I mentioned that this is the heart chakra. Now, we could think of this as the crown chakra, the heart chakra, and maybe here with the root chakra. This tree of life also exists within each and every one of our bodies, starting from the crown down to the root. And the rest of the Sephiroth aligning through parts of the body. Now, it's not exactly a chakra, but it can match up roughly to the chakras from the Hindu and the Indian Hindu yogic traditions. Now, there's another way to read this, yeah? There's also pillars, yeah? This is the pillar. I'm sorry, my microphone just decided to do a little dance here. Let me get my microphone back where it wants to be, hopefully. Okay, we're just going to go there. Okay, so this is the center pillar. Remember when I said this is the Father? I called this the Father because this is called the Father pillar. The Father pillar and this is called the Mother pillar. Forgive my poor writing ability. I was never good with crayons. Not so good with pens either, but here we go. So again, energy flows from 1 to 2 to 3, right? The Father pillar, the Mother pillar. The Father pillar is the pillar of mercy. The Mother pillar is the pillar of severity. The Mother pillar goes down in energy. Not so much going down, but moves through the Sephiroth in this direction. The Father pillar moves through the Sephiroth in this direction. And we can think of it as the pillar of severity is energy pouring down from the divine to us. And the Father pillar is us reaching back up to the divine for mercy, for compassion. Does that make sense? There's another way for us to think of the flow of energy here, which I've already pretty much shown you. It's called the lightning path, which goes through the numbers of 1 to 2 to 3, through dot to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9, down to 10. Now that is called the lightning path, and we will read in that direction as well. Now going this way, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. That is the lightning path. So we're going to read this, the spread in these ways. We're going to read it first in the triangles, the supernal triangle, the ethical triangle, the astral triangle, with Malkuth dangling off of the head, off of the bottom. And we're also going to read the Mother pillar going down and the Father pillar going up. And then we're going to do a brief read through the lightning path. And that is how we will end the reading. Yeah? So, here we go. I didn't talk about the microprosopus, but just in case you're curious, yeah? The supernal triangle is the macroprosopus. And everything below the abyss is the microprosopus. So that the prince is in the microprosopus. And the prince marries the princess, which is the bride of the microprosopus. Tipreth. The heart marries the physical. There are many, many different ways of apprehending, of understanding this tree of life. It's deep and rich in traditions and symbolism and thought and mystery and etc., etc., etc. So this is the tree of life spread. Now, I've probably gone a little bit too far and explained and talked a little bit too much. And so because of that, let's just move into a reading. How are we going to do that? Well, let me show you. Here we go. Because we are working with a horizontal screen on our computers, and this is a vertical spread, I don't have a spread cloth wide enough to cover the entire screen of your camera that will also fit the height needed for this spread. So this spread is not really great for shooting on camera, but we are going to be working with this space in your what do we call that? On your screen. Yep. On your screen, we'll be working with this space. But to get all of this space in, we need a wide side, wide view. So here we go. I'm going to shuffle the cards as I normally shuffle cards. So if you want to skip over that, feel free to do that. The question I'm going to shuffle into the cards is this: how is my spiritual path progressing? That's the question I'm going to do. I'm going to use. How is, my spiritual path progressing? So I'm going to be doing a very personal, real-time read for you here. I'm going to have to start this shuffle all over again because I didn't tell you about the deck. This deck is the smallest deck that I have that is still full and rich with symbolism and image. It's called the R Black deck. And this deck, I don't know if you can see this. Let me bring this up as close as I possibly can. I don't know if the camera is focusing for you because, frankly, I cannot see what you are seeing now because the camera is too high up for me. But if you can see the back, it's a beautiful image, but very difficult to see. It's a dark, dark gray on black. I'm sorry, it's black on dark, dark gray. Can you see this eye here? Maybe you can't. And there's a pattern in the blackness of the back. It really is a gorgeous deck. It's created by Richard Black, a graphic designer in Northern California. And I love this deck. And it'll just fit very nicely here. But again, we've had to zoom way out. And again, I'm going to have to start shuffling this deck. So the question is, how is my spiritual path progressing? How is my spiritual path progressing? How is my spiritual path progressing? Feel free to skip ahead. How is my spiritual path progressing? Two. How is my spiritual path progressing? How is my spiritual path progressing? You might notice that there are some dings on the deck. Some of the backs are a little bit scratched. But that's because this deck was printed on recycled paper with environmentally friendly inks, hand cut. It's a wonderfully, wonderfully, beautifully created and somewhat fragile deck. I was fortunate to get one of the second printing. When this deck is printed, it's printed in very limited number. And I had no idea about the first printing, and I was really blessed to get a copy of the second printing. If it goes on to a third printing, you might want to get a hold of it if you don't already have it. It really is a fabulous deck. How is my spiritual path progressing? Thank you, Rich Black, by the way. Thank you very much, Rich Black. How is my spiritual path progressing? And final overhand shuffle. How is my spiritual path progressing? How is my spiritual path progressing? Whoa. Okay. So we cut. I'm going to lay them out from 1 to 10 with dot in the middle, making that 11. So here we go. How is my spiritual path progressing? We begin with number 1. Whoa, wow, okay. That's a cool beginning. Let me just make sure that that is in screen before I start laying the rest of them. I think you can see that. Yep. Okay, so 1, 2. I'm sorry for the legs of the tripod, but we work with what we have. This is the father pillar. Interesting. This is the mother pillar. And let's put dot right here. Ooh, interesting. Okay. And we go to 4 with chesed. To 5 with Geburah. To 6 with Tipreth. To 7 with Netzach. Ooh. To 8 with Hod. To 9 with Yesod. And then finally 10 with the... Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, that's me. That's me. It's a Mario. Okay, you know that my channel, that my moniker for the channel is the Hanged Man in the Moon, right? So my spiritual path is manifesting in the Hanged Man. That's pretty cool, right? I think so. Can you see? You can see all of that, I think. Okay, so here we go. Wow, this is rich. Let's just give a really quick look at what we have here. Yeah, we have 1 cup, 1 water card. We have no earth. Okay. So there's no grounding. Oh, there's no grounding. Oh, there is one. There is one. Okay. There's 1 earth right here. Whew. Scared me. 4 of Pentacles. So we've got 1 cup, 1 water, 1 earth. So 2 receptive. And then for the active, we have 2 wands, 2 swords. Interesting, right? Yeah. On the father pillar going up, we have 2 wands. On the mother pillar going down, we have 2 swords. And we got a whole bunch of major arcana right here, right? We got the magician, we got the judgment, we got the emperor, the hanged man, and the chariot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana. Now, I don't know if you read in this way, but some people do, and I sometimes think about this, that in some cases, the major arcana can be indications that things are more the word came and went. What do we call it when not symbolic, more archetypal? More archetypal. These are more archetypes of more perhaps spiritual, conceptual, archetypal ideas. So which kind of matches the question that I asked, right? How is my spiritual path going? If there were almost no major arcana cards out on the table, I would have started being a little bit concerned that I was focusing too much on the mundane. But maybe I'm not focusing enough on the mundane. Maybe there is that little bit of out of balancedness here, but we'll see. We'll see. So what are we going to do? We're going to start off with the supernal triangle. We begin with the magician, yeah? A magician is manifestation, but it's also that first step, at least for me, it's the first step into manifestation. It's the first step from the potential into the kinetic, into the active, into the manifestation. And here we see a magician in the sense of our more modern card-slinging magicians, right? But still, we've got Mercury in the background, which is nice. We've got the communicator. We've got the one who carries messages, who is the messenger of the gods. We've got the one who's what? Two genders all together in one. The androgyne. Yeah, the Mercury is also androgynous. Mercury can be both male, female, non-binary, intersex, whatever. Now that is total Mercury. And what a great way what a great card to have as the monad. And we also remember that the magician is number 1. Number 1 is here in the crown. Absolutely brilliant start to this spread, if you ask me. And we move down to the father. The father pillar starts off with wisdom. So we go from our crown as being the magician, the one bringing spirit into manifestation and having all the tools to do so. Moving into what is the first step of wisdom from that? Well, here we have an idea of memory, of nostalgia with the Six of Cups. But it's almost a reverse kind of, it's maybe this is a memory of, she is remembering her grandfather, perhaps, who maybe gave her this doll and maybe taught her how to make and pour tea, perhaps. Now, we have the idea of memory. We have the idea of also ancestors, our ancestors being here and being with us. So I think that's where we're going to go with this one here. As we move, the wisdom is the wisdom of our ancestors, the wisdom that we have gained from our traditions and from the emotional connection that we have. And the spiritual connection that we have. Cups are also spirit, right? The spiritual connection that we have with our ancestors is where we get our wisdom. And that flows into our understanding. And what a wonderful card for understanding, the Son of Swords, which would, I think, be the Knight of Swords in most decks. Yeah, because it's not the daughter, it's the son. Which would be the Knight of Swords, but it kind of looks like a Page of Swords, doesn't it? Now, doesn't this figure look like a page? But because we normally associate the knights as being on horseback, right? But let me pull out the Daughter of Swords here from this deck, which would be the page. Where are you, Daughter of Swords? That's the Mother of Swords. Let me find the Daughter of Swords for you so that you can distinguish with me the differences between the son and the daughter. So yes, this would be the Page of Swords here. This is the Knight of Swords. And you can see that this knight is a little bit more active than the page, right? The page is here standing, about to take the first step. This knight has lunged forward and is both in balance, but active. So we have the idea of our understanding we carry from our ancestors to action in the world, to mental action in the world, now to our thoughts being put into action, maybe an adventure, but an adventure based on clear thought and clear communication. Perhaps not as controlled as we might want it to be, but this particular knight looks very well controlled compared to other knights. So we're not going to go for that rash action that many Knights of Swords will remind us of. This knight reminds me of a very well-balanced and thoughtful and acting from a balanced center. Now, our thought moving forward from a balanced center. That makes sense, right? So that is the supernal triangle. We have the beginning of manifestation, moving to our memory of our connection with our ancestors, our spiritual connection, our emotional connection, and what it continues to be poured down from them to us. And we move into our understanding from that to our ability to act from our core, from our center, in a balanced way, and communicate and think in a balanced way, actively, with this as the wisdom that informs our understanding. Does that make sense? And then we move into the abyss, and we'll place now we'll skip over the abyss now. Although this judgment card here in the abyss is brilliant because it's in this void, in this area between the imperceptible and the perceived, that the call happens, right? This is where the meditation exists. This is such a brilliant card, especially in this deck. So we're going to move to number 4. This is where our loving kindness, our mercy, our compassion is informed. And that is informed with the Father of Wands, right? Which would be the King of Wands in other decks. Now, this is the one who is a leader. But you'll notice that their sword is broken, right? This is not a leader of battles and that kind of dominance, but rather a leader of I want to say passion. Although this looks more like an enlightened leader, right? You can notice that there's a living staff in this king's hand, in this father's hand. So there's a spirituality to the cups, and there's a different kind of spirituality to the wands. Now, the wands are the fiery spirit, the conscious spirit, the divine bursting in with life. The cups are the spirit of water, of depth, of the high priestess. The father of wands is the spirit of the Hierophant, the high priest, the divine fire and light bursting into the world. So our loving kindness and our compassion here is that of the master of creativity, of leadership, of charisma. And that flows into our strength and severity, which is the Six of Swords, right? Another severity, swords, makes perfect sense. We also want to be able to start moving on from where we have. Leave what we have had in the past, some of our baggage, some of our thoughts that are no longer serving us. We want to leave those in the past, and we want to move forward. Now, so this is the king putting down that broken sword, right? And moving forward into the future. And that moves us into the heart, Tippereth, our harmony and beauty of the Four of Pentacles. Now, in other decks, the Four of Pentacles is often thought of as greed, as miserliness, but I don't think of it that way, and this deck does not show it in that way either. We see this monk here polishing their 4 discs, keeping them safe, keeping them in you could see that they're caged, but he opens the cage, this monk opens the cage to polish them, to keep them in good condition. It's the maintenance of the physical resources, the time, and also the dedication of... Have you ever seen a Buddhist monk, or even a Christian monk, doing any task, doing a task in mindfulness? Now, this monk I see as mindfully wiping the dust off of the physicality of this disc, of this pentacle. Now, discs, pentacles, matter just left to its own devices without careful, mindful maintenance will gather dust, will start to corrode, right? So to keep that matter fresh, brilliant, vibrant, we want to very mindfully wipe away the dust that we have accreted, that has gathered and collected on the disc. So the heart of the matter here is to wipe, to clean, to mindfully maintain our material selves. Does that make sense? So we have this triangle, right? Leadership of charisma, of passion, of divine fire, with the ability to control and maintain it. And we move into being able to leave behind the swords which are no longer serving us and move forward. And as we move forward, we also keep our mindfulness and keep what we have clean in the Four of Pentacles. This is what is happening in our hearts. So we move into victory. How are we victorious? We are victorious by having new ideas, new passions, the Ace of Wands, right? This fresh spark of not ideas so much but of inspiration. That inspiration that can lead to ideas. You can see a lot of formulae here, right? Maybe of physics, bursting forth from this little beautiful girl's crayon. So it's this spark that has the potential of so much depth and of knowledge and wisdom and understanding, but it's right here, it's the spark. And that is where our victory is. And we move from our spark to our splendor, our glory, by moving forward with focus, with our focused will, our willpower, bringing our selves together. You notice that Cancer is here on this card, so we're going to read that here. Yeah, we bring our water. Our Cancer is mutable water, right? No, not mutable. Is cardinal water. Yeah, it's the water of our emotions that drive that we move forward with. And you'll notice this right here, right? This pentacle above the head, above the crown chakra, or at the crown chakra, depending on where. I mean, I would put this in the soul star chakra, but not many people read the soul star chakra. But if you do, that's where I would put it. And here we have matter in the soul star chakra flowing from here. This, we've cleaned it, we clean it here, and here it's there radiant above our heads as we bring the aspects of our mind together and we move forward with splendor, with glory. And that is our, and surrendering to what, to the power that we receive from the divine. This power is not only our crown because it's energy going out, it's also energy coming in from the universe. Right? So that is our splendor, our glory. And to receive that splendor and glory, we surrender to the divine. And then we move to our foundation here, which is our Emperor card, Mars. Yeah? Moving forward with this fire. Yeah, moving forward with our passions, moving forward with determination and a sense of creativity. The kind of creativity of the emperor rather than the empress. The empress, for me, holds space for creativity to occur. The emperor is the one who goes out and shapes things and forms things and creates structure, right? So the foundation here is that creation of structure, that creation of cardinal fire direction, moving into the world at the beginning of the zodiac, for example. As Aries begins the zodiac, here we have Mars beginning the new creation, which flows into manifestation here in Malkuth. And Malkuth, here we have a pause. We have the heart suspended. But we also have me, because I identify as the hanged man. So there are two ways I can read this. I can read this as right now I'm at a pause, perhaps. But in another way, this is also the fulfillment of my self-identification here in the physical plane. I am the hanged man in the moon. And I think that's because of that, that's how I'm going to read this card. That we've moved from the magician here to my manifestation as my self-described personhood in the spiritual sphere here on YouTube, right? So those are the triangles. And now we can look at the pillars. So we're going to look at the pillar moving down. Yeah, we start with the Knight of Swords, the Son of Swords. Again, balanced, thoughtful, action, communication, perception from the core. Being willing to leave behind the baggage of the past and move forward with willpower, with our focused minds. Remember, this is the beginning, and this beginning is intersexed. It is the androgyne. So here we bring both sides of the androgyne more deliberately together. Here, the androgyne is together because that's all there is. Here, it's a deliberate bringing together and focusing of both aspects of the mind, of the self, to move forward. So we start with this one. Start from this, again, clear, focused action. The pillar of severity coming down from the monad, from the top, from the crown. We have, again, this focused, mind-focused, active mind, moving from a place of balance and a place of centeredness, leaving behind what is in the past and bringing aspects of mind together to continue moving forward. Now from here, we're reaching up to the divine for mercy. And as we reach up to the divine for mercy, we start with a spark of inspiration, a spark of creativity, a spark of fire that develops into mastery of that fire. And then we can enter into its balancing partner, right? The cups, which is informed by our spiritual connection to our ancestors. So we've got, this is us, that spark, and our mastery of that. And then we include our connection with our traditions, our past, our ancestors, that deep spiritual well of understanding that we have access to. We join that in, and then we reach the monad, right? Then we reach our fullness, our divine self, essence as the magician. Now, of course, that we is now me. That is what I can do. So we've done that. We've read this triangle. We've read this triangle. We read this triangle. We tacked on Malkut. We looked at the mother pillar going down. Now we're going to look at the father. We looked at the father pillar going up, and now we're going to read the lightning bolt. So the lightning bolt goes from number one, the magician. Yeah, there's ultimate potential here, and that potential, our wisdom teaches us that we are taught by, and we have access to, and we have who we are because of our ancestors and our unbroken connection, our inseparable, our unable to be separated connection with our traditions and our past and our ancestors. And that leads us into our action, but an action from a centered, balanced place. And that brings us to the void of Da'at. And that's where our meditation practice comes in. It's in that meditative pose that we receive the call from the divine. So yes, our understanding is that we are prepared to act from our center, but in order to get to that center, we are called. We are called in the judgment card, and here in this card, the call is experienced in meditation. So we move down into our love, so that informs our loving kindness. Yeah, our loving kindness, the mercy is who we are as charismatic leaders, who I am as a charismatic leader of passion and understanding and wisdom as a King of Wands. And this at the bottom of the King of Wands kind of looks like lions, don't they? They look like lions to me. Leo is my sun sign. Now, so that's an interesting little addition here to this Father of Wands. Yeah, we got let me just quickly look to see if there is let's look at the Queen of Wands to see if there is another astrological association to that Queen, Mother of Wands. Nope. Okay, so it's just here, and it's in this particular card, in this particular deck, we see the lions there, and reminds me personally of my Leo self, which kind of can make sense for a Father of Wands card, for a King of Wands. Now, some would place the King of Wands, the Mother of Wands, as Aries. Maybe. Okay. Anyways, moving on. I'm dropping into a pit of thought. So let's keep reading the cards. We move from the Father of Wands to the Six of Swords. And he is now able to start leaving behind the crap that is no longer serving him. And that is our strength. But it's a little bit severe. Yeah, leaving stuff behind can feel a little bit harsh sometimes, right? So that's why this is a perfect card for the Sephiroth of severity, but also strength. That our strength, our ability to leave that behind and move forward. And then we move to the heart. The heart, this is where, from meditation, right? This is, in our meditation, this is what we're doing. In the heart, we are keeping our manifested selves clear and clean by a very mindful act of keeping our material realm and the material resources that we have sparkling, shining, clean. Like the moon in the sky or the sun in the sky behind, the stuff that we have to maintain, we keep just as bright and just as pristine and sparkly and clean. Clear of any dust and dirt that could naturally be accumulated. And that moves us, when we do that, we get the victory of the new inspiration, the new passionate idea, the Ace of Wands. Yeah, that's where the fire begins. Of course, that fire wants to be maintained, and the way to maintain it is to do this, and then do this, and then do this, and then, you understand? So this is where our victory is. And our splendor, our glory is by bringing the mind and the heart, by bringing aspects of self, by bringing the androgyne together in this very, very earthy looking card. There's the symbol for earth right there, which is interesting. Yeah, it's very earthy manifestation of Cancer, which is water. Yeah, but still, which is interesting. I think of this as Cancer is not an earth sign. Anywho, by bringing this aspects of active and passive together, the Tao together, to be and act in the world. That is the glory, and that is how we also surrender to the divine, because as we do that, we receive more divine inspiration here. And so then we come into our formation, our foundation of active creativity in the world, of creating our structure, of creating our space, of forming our routines, perhaps our rituals, of being a little bit Martian in my spiritual path. And thus I manifest into the Hanged Man here in the world. So I think this is a brilliant reading for me personally, moving from the monad, from the singular of the magician to the card that I self-identify as. In the space for manifestation. Doesn't that make absolute sense? And that's how I do it. And that is the flow of energy to who I am being right now in the world on my spiritual path. And so how is my spiritual path going? I would say my spiritual path is going pretty darn well. I don't see anything that looks disruptive, particularly. But it does give me some good advice, leaving stuff behind. Leaving behind the past, the broken swords. And picking up that wand of inspiration and of charisma and of passion. Remembering it may be right now a little bit out of my ken, but remembering my connection to ancestor and to tradition and to the deep well of our unconscious knowledge and wisdom and understanding and spirit that is available to each of us, especially to me, because this is a reading for me. Wow, I think this is powerful. What do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of this spread? Now, this is a spread that we might want to sit with. We wouldn't want to do this like as a daily draw, right? Or even a weekly draw. Maybe a monthly check-in might be okay. Maybe an annual thing at the beginning of the year, that would be good too. But this is a spread that asks us to sit with it, I think, to see the connections, to understand the power of each Sephiroth individually and as the energy flows from top to bottom, as it flows from bottom back up to top, right? As we reach back up to the divine for mercy, for what do we call it in the Course in Miracles? For the not the abolition, not the for absolution. Yeah. And this is just an amazing thread. Okay, I hope you think that this is as interesting as I do. And if you do, let me know in the comments below. And friends, if you are still here, thank you very much. And hit that thumbs up button for the channel so that it helps draw more eyes to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And also, hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I tend to do about 3 a week if I can manage it. We'll see how this semester goes. And if you want this deck, I'll try and put a link below, if possible, to a place where you can go to check to see if it's being reprinted or not, if that makes sense. Also, if you want a reading from me, this kind of spread, any kind of spread, whatever, my email address is below. Send me an email to thehangedmaninthemoon, thehangedmaninthemoon at gmail.com, and we'll get you a reading. So friends, here we are. Thank you very much for coming on this exploration of this spread with me. And as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.